for us to go deeper in the Word in different ways.
Hello, thanks for sticking around for the Bible Project. Last week we did a fun fact, and afterwards people came up to me and said that was really cool, we liked your fun fact. So I have a question. How many wise men from the East came to see the birth of Jesus like we just saw here? How many wise men from the East that brought frankincense and myrrh? Most people think there's 3, but the Bible never specifies. The Bible never says how many, so it could have been 100, could have been 20, but people make assumptions. When I was a kid, I saw a Christmas card with 3 wise men on it, so I just assumed there's 3 wise men. And I think everyone else makes that same assumption. But you want to be really careful with the Bible because you can assume things that are in there that are not in there. And the culture sort of takes over after generation, and you start to believe things that are in the Bible that really are never there. So I have another question for you, which is kind of like a cool fun fact. What are the dimensions of heaven in miles? In other words, you can think of how far the United States is from east to west. How far is heaven from east to west?
I know it's called that, I just don't remember. It's in there.
It's in there.
Yeah.
So when I talk to Christians, just conversationally, I was reading that one day and I started talking to people about that, and I found that they were upset, and they were like, you can't know how many miles heaven is. And they thought that I was being new age or weird or making it up. So if you read the Bible, what you'll start to experience is that people who feel like they're church-going Christians will think you're weird because they haven't read the Bible. And I was just looking online, and it said that a British poll found that 62% of people who claim that they've read classic books like Moby Dick have never actually read them, or they just watched the movie. So if you ask an English teacher, should high school students read Moby Dick, they'll say, absolutely, that's a wonderful idea. And then if you ask them, do you want to sit down right now and read Moby Dick for an hour? They'll say, not really. Nobody actually wants to read Moby Dick, but everyone thinks it's a good idea for other people to read Moby Dick. Moby Dick was written hundreds of years ago. It's a huge book, and it's about a sort of obscure subject. A guy's chasing after a whale and nothing ever happens for hundreds of pages. So nobody really wants to sit down and read that book, but everyone thinks it's a good idea for other people to read it. So heaven is 1,400 miles from east to west. This is in Revelation 21:15. It's 1,400 miles from base to top, and it's 1,400 miles deep. It's a perfect square box. And it also has 12 layers of precious gems at its base. Some of them are amethyst, and I forget some of the other ones, but they're all brilliant, colorful gems. And they have the name of each of the apostles: Thaddeus, James, Peter. This is all in the Bible. So what I experienced when I told people about this is they just looked at me like, look, you're a weirdo. I'm a Christian, okay? We don't have time for new age weird stuff like that. But it's in the Bible. So there are 12 gates. They're made of a giant pearl, and that's how you get into heaven. And that's how everyone here who's going to heaven is going to get in, is through a giant pearl gate. And it describes it in Revelation 21:15. So I just want to encourage everyone here to spend 15 minutes in the morning listening to the Bible, 15 minutes in the evening listening to the Bible. And my saying is, car time is Bible time. You want to turn your chore or your daily commute, which you're going to be doing anyway, you might as well learn the Bible during the next year or 2 or 3. Instead of listening to the radio, put on the Bible for 15 minutes. And I also have been having a lot of enjoyment watching all these cool Bible projects at home instead of watching TV. So that's my thought for the week, and thanks for coming out. I'll see everyone next week.